When we're discussing paradigms of knowledge, sometimes I find myself using the word knowledge, and sometimes I find myself using the verb knowing instead. And I think there is quite a significant difference in the use of these terms. Certainly Mark Johnson, for example, in a recent presentation I saw him give at the conference, was very insistent on using this term knowing rather than knowledge. And I think within the overall schema that I'm working with to do with a paradigm of knowledge which draws its logic from the experience of being an embodied creature standing in an illuminated space, kind of, I think within that general schema these two terms, knowledge and knowing, have quite different existences. The idea of knowledge as a noun maps onto an understanding of objects in space, objects in real time and real space, physical existence. An understanding of objects as being coherent, separate, as persisting beyond our witnessing of them. If I close my eyes, actually, I assume does not disappear. As being bounded, as having some sort of permanence, and so on. And I think when we're using the term knowledge, we're at least tending to ascribe some of those properties to whatever fact we're trying to indicate, whatever the object of that knowledge is. And it's particularly relevant, I think, when we're trying to be objective about knowledge. We treat facts, Battle of Hastings, 1066, and so on, as having some kind of objective status outside of ourselves, outside of the act of knowing. And that's completely appropriate. I'm not making an argument for cultural relativism here. When we use the term knowing, I think it's very different. When we use that term, firstly it's a verb, and I think where our use of the verb here acknowledges the presence of the knower in the act of knowledge management, knowledge acquisition. Because of course, whilst the tree may or may not exist when I've got my eyes closed, I assume it continues to exist, but let's pretend that that's in doubt. Whilst it may or may not exist, what certainly does not exist when I close my eyes is my visual knowledge of the tree. I cease to visually know the tree. I don't have that kind of knowledge of it. And